Yo, what up? Welcome to another episode of Source and Company. I'm your host, Source, of course. As always, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Smitty Source on both of those. Follow the Source and Company Spotify channel, the Source and Company YouTube channel, and follow the Source NCO podcast underscore RVA Instagram for the show. All right? Cool. So today's company, man, I didn't even go through what I was going to do as an intro for you. But today's company, former Hermitage Panther, so there's your 804 connection. She is currently the director of operations for Acro Tumbling at Baylor University. We're going to figure out how in the world she got all the way out there and see what else is going on with today's company, Treasure Fields. Treasure, what's
Hi.
happening?
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk about everything. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
No doubt, no doubt. I tell you, gonna get this out the way real quick. Treasure. Okay, all right, I'm good now. I had to do it one time. How annoying is that? Who does it? Everybody does it, right?
Yeah. Ever since the song came out, I think mostly when I meet people, they have to sing it. They
Have to. You
Yeah.
have to.
I don't even get upset anymore. I'm just like, okay. So I'm used to it. It's all good.
That's good. That's good. So, all the way at Baylor, man. Did you ever? Did you see yourself in this acro tumbling world? Not even at the beginning of college, but maybe in the middle of college when you started actually doing acro tumbling.
No, I honestly just thought I would do my 2 years and be done. I didn't know, I guess I didn't understand the opportunities that came with it, but I did not see myself here at all. So it has been a wild ride, honestly. It's pretty cool for sure.
What did you What did you think you'd be doing if you had to guess?
Something with criminal justice, because that's what I got my undergrad in. So I thought, because even when I was at Concordia, they had set us up with internships and many different things. So I just thought I would end up getting a job through that. And that kind of would have been it for me, for sure.
Okay. Well, let's take it all the way back, like we like to do about this time. Take it back to young treasure.
Yeah.
How was and it's kind of a general question because you can answer it any kind of way, but when you think about your childhood, what comes to mind?
My childhood was cheerleading. That is what comes to mind. I did ballet, softball, but I ended up quitting all of that because of cheer. So that was my childhood. I think more of like just the family and the community. Hilda, of course, was a big part of that. So when I think of my childhood, I think of that. And then obviously I have great parents. So they always took care of me. They always, supported me in whatever I wanted to do. So my childhood was actually fun. It was really productive. I think it prepared me for the real world because I don't do half of the things I did as a kid, but man, I am always ready. I'm always on time and I'm just prepared for anything. So I think my childhood was pretty dope, in my opinion. I got to experience a lot of different things for sure.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You mentioned Hilda,
Mhm.
Hilda McDaniel, is that right?
Yes.
And she was the owner of, well, I guess founder of
Cheer Factory.
Cheer Factory.
Yeah, so she coached at USA because that's where I started, USA All Stars, and then she went to, I forget the name, but I actually went there too. I think it was Cheer Challenge. We were purple, but I was only there for like a year, and then she started Cheer Factory. So yeah, she had that gym for a little while, a long time.
Man, was Acro tumbling even a thing back then, or
No, I don't think I know the first meet wasn't until 2010 or 2011. And they actually used to go to cheerleading competition. So I don't know if anybody can think back to like cheer sport or any competition like that. And you would see these teams in these not uniforms. So they're in shorts in the, volleyball top. And you're like, what are they doing? They're still doing the routine, but it was definitely different. I think Maryland did it for a little bit too. They were one of the founding schools, the University of Maryland. So It was around that time when it started. So it didn't come around at least till I was about a freshman or sophomore in college, if I'm correct.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not in college, in high school, I'm sorry.
All right. Okay. Okay. So yeah, so we'll jump back to the childhood. And you said you did ballet and what else?
I did ballet. I played softball. I actually was pretty decent. We had a pretty good team. And then I went to basketball camp every year, but I don't think I ever played on an actual team. But I did try all those things sports wise, for
So
sure.
you're competitive by nature.
Yes, and then honestly, I just think I like to stay busy. So like I really don't like downtime. I'm always like, I'm so tired. I wish I had free time, but then I have free time and I'm like, what do I do now? So I think my parents figured out keeping me busy was the way to go, was the success like for me for sure. So they just put me in everything and cheerleading just stuck.
Gotcha. Gotcha. What do you think of when you think of your time at Old Hermitage? Why do I have so many Hermitage people on this freaking show? I don't understand it, but anyway, not your problem. So what do you think of when you think of Herm?
Oh my gosh, Herm was so fun. I was in band for 4 years at Herm, and my mom, honestly, she made me do that. I was like, I don't want to be in the band, and it was the best experience of my life. I learned so many life lessons from Mr. Sarve. Um, so that, and then I got the chance to cheer. So I didn't do sideline, but I was on the comp team, and that was so much fun. I'm pretty sure. I think I did it all 4 years. That was kind of where I met like my first people was from cheer and band. And then I was in the humanities center. So like I got to meet so many different people because we were coming really from all parts of the county. So Hermitage was probably some of the best years of my life. It was so diverse when I was there. It was just a great group of people. I had a great class for 2012. So I have nothing but good things when I think about Hermitage for sure.
So then you decide to go to ODU.
Yes,
You can tell
that
me about ODU, but I'm really, after you do, I really want to know what in the world possessed you to go from ODU to Concordia. I need to know, like, was it specifically Acro or what?
Yeah, so honestly, this is just full transparency. I was more like the first generation college student. So like we really didn't know what to do in this college process. So I think my counselor was like, you should just stay local. And I was like, great. And I didn't want to stay VCU local. So ODU was just there. And I think me and my friend at the time were like, we could be roommates. It was honestly super last minute. I think it was just rushed and we didn't know. So I loved ODU. I met some great people and I know a lot of people from high school ended up going to ODU. So I really did love it. I cheered my sophomore year. Coach Harris was my coach and she was phenomenal. She completely turned that program around. So um, that was fun for sure. But Concordia was actually random. I wasn't unhappy because of ODU. I was unhappy at that time for many other reasons. And I got a call from the head coach at Concordia, and she meant to call Maria. And I was like, yeah, like, I don't know, Maria. She's not, I think you have the wrong number. And she was like, well, what do you do? And I said, well, I cheer. I was still doing All Star. I was on the international team at Fame. I was doing sideline. And I was like, well, I do all-star, I've cheered my whole life. And she's like, well, I'm starting this team in Wisconsin. Would you be interested? And I was like, it's A&T. I was like, sure. Can you send me the info? So I remember calling my mom and I was like, Mom, like, where is Wisconsin? And she's like, 16, it's like 16 hours away. It's pretty far. But we went through the whole recruiting process. So that was new to me. And she's like, we'll fly you out here, X, Y, and Z. You can visit campus. And that was just like, oh my gosh, like, that was so new to me. I didn't even know that was a thing, honestly. And I think we went and visited, and it's a small campus, it's a small place. We went in the spring, so it wasn't super cold, but it didn't like blow me away. But I think I just thought about it and I was like, why not? Just go do it. You get to make history because we were the first team. Like you get to do something that's completely different and you just never know what can come of it. And I was able to finish my degree in 2 years. So I think I was just looking for something new and that was it. And I just went, honestly. I think I made the decision like in July. It was super late. And I was like,
Really?
yeah. And I remember I went into my mom's room and I was like, I think we should just do this. I think we should just do it. She was like, okay. And that's just how she is. She's been like that my whole life. She's like, okay. So we packed a bunch of suitcases. I think I moved that next month and it just happened. Yeah.
Wow. That's
Mhm.
crazy. We gotta back up though. She meant to call somebody named Maria.
Yes, that is the story. That is how I remember because she left a voicemail. And so I was like, yeah. She's like, hey, Maria, blah, blah. So I called back and I was like, yeah, this isn't Maria, but it sounds like an important call. I was sitting in class. Like, I remember everything. Like I was sitting in an African American studies class when I got the call. That's why I didn't pick up. And I was like, why am I getting a call from Wisconsin? Like, I don't know anybody. I don't even know where that is, honestly. And so that's why I called her back because she left a message and then kind of just went from there. I think I went to visit like maybe 3 weeks later and then I made the decision like late July. So
They, that's crazy.
yeah,
That's
because
crazy.
I was about to move back in at ODU when I made the decision. Like I had the deposit down because I was living in the village. I remember everything. And I was like, I just think I should do this. I think I should try it. And so I did. We did.
Do you know how many things had to? I mean, do you have you? I mean, you're young, so maybe you don't as of yet. But have you stopped and thought about how many things had to go wrong or right
Mhm.
in order for you to? I mean, to just that's just the beginning, which has led
Right.
to the rest of your life at this point.
I'm starting to realize it. 2 years ago, I'd have been like, this is normal, this is crazy, but like just thinking through everything, we'll probably talk about more things, but just thinking like to see how everything played out, like the stars aligned, this was the universe pushing me to where I needed to be. So yes, I
Hmm.
have thought about it. It's more recently for sure, but it is crazy to me, honestly. I'm grateful, but it definitely is crazy.
So, how was Wisconsin? I've never been
Um,
to Wisconsin. I've never even been that direction.
I honestly, it was great. It was cold, but that's just how it is. But we were right outside of Milwaukee. So you had that experience, and then you had like the Brewers, and you had the Cubs, and just an hour away in Chicago. So it was on like that's one place. Like if I ever had to move back, like I wouldn't be like, oh, I don't want to go back to Wisconsin. It was really nice. It was fun. You had the Bucks there too. So you just had. I'm a big sports fan, so you had all the sports. You had the Packers. They were maybe like an hour or so away, and so I thought it was great. The school was beautiful. And then my senior year, I lived in this little town called Cedarburg, and it was really cute. And I honestly, I enjoyed it. I really did. I go back to visit when I can. I think it's a great place for sure.
And then you ended up staying. What another year?
I didn't even finish the year, so did the first semester, and then that's when I ended up getting the job in West Virginia. So I
Uh,
did one semester as a graduate assistant after I graduated at Concordia. Yeah.
and then you got the head coaching job at West Liberty.
Yeah, that was another crazy, just like,
I was about to say that had to be crazy coming out of. Well, I guess you came from one of the, I guess, first schools to do acro,
mhm.
so that may have given you a leg up. I guess people knowing your
I
name.
Right. I guess as far as like the experience, so like, you kind of know what a first year team is gonna feel like, but it was definitely it's tough. And like if you look at all the NCATA schools, all the acrobatics and tumbling schools, a lot of the coaches are young because we're the ones that know the sport. So we're coming right out of college and we're getting these jobs, which is unheard of, at a college level. But we get these jobs and we're pretty good at it because we know the sport and the sport is different and it's hard for somebody that really hasn't been in it. But yeah, my head coach at Concordia at the time, she had left and she was leaving to go to Baylor when I had just graduated. So she would like keep me up to date sometimes. And then I actually applied for 2 jobs and I didn't get the first one, but she was like, I really think, you could do this. So I was like, I have no idea about recruiting. I honestly didn't. And she was like, I really think you can do it. You just got to sit down and make a plan. So I did, and I went up there to interview, and the rest was kind of history. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Was the team already established at West Liberty?
No, so there
Oh,
was
I'm
like,
sorry. You did say it was the first
yeah.
year.
So they basically added the sport. So usually what schools will do is they go through all the admin stuff, and the athletic department will add the sport. And then the first thing they obviously need to do is add a head coach or get a head coach. And that person is responsible for getting X amount of kids on campus to compete. So I think they got me on campus in January, and they wanted us to start our season that following August. So, and some schools might want you to have a full roster. Some schools are like, hey, see if you can get 10 kids. You guys will train a year and then you'll compete the next season. But it really depends on the school and what they want for sure.
Mm. But
Mhm.
one thing that I kind of skipped over, but we would get to it eventually.
Mhm.
What is acro tumbling? If you had to, well, describe it for me, explain it to me.
Oh my gosh. So A&T is like the best of both worlds. So you have gymnasts that can come in, you have cheerleaders that come in, you have acrobatic gymnasts, you have so many different kids. I had track athletes on my team, and it's this sport that is comprised of 6 events, and it takes the best skills from gymnastics, cheerleading, and puts this into this meet format. So you have 3 officials, you have start values, so kind of like gymnastics, everything has a start value. The first event is compulsory, so the start value for that is always out of 10. So you can get a 9.5 out of 10, you can get a 6 out of 10, whatever kind of the deductions you get on each heat. And then the rest of so you have compulsory, then you have acro, pyramid, toss, tumbling, and team event. So all of that is your optional stuff. So you have requirements in acro. You have requirements is how many D skills you need or C skills, and how many for tumbling you have to have like an aerial pass. Then you have a 6-element pass, which just means it needs 6 parts in the pass. You have group passes, so you have a duo, trio, quad. It's also crazy, but it's really fun. And then team event is the last thing, and it's worth the most points. So the team event, you can score your highest start value can be a 110, and it's really hard. So it depends on the team, how high they can get. Usually I had a smaller team when I first started. So when I was there, I couldn't really break the hundreds. But I think now the team is a lot better. They have a good core. They probably start a little bit higher than that. And like at Baylor, we'll start in like the 108s, 109s, just depending on the team that year. So yeah, that's like me condensing it because we could talk all day about it, but it's really cool. We're currently at NCAA emerging sports status. So that just means once we get to 40 schools, we'll be to NCAA championship status. So that means we'll have an NCAA championship and all those things. But right now we are recognized by the NCAA, and that just happened, I think in 2020, but that has been in the works for probably 10 years.
So
Because
that's where the ATA comes from because it's
yeah,
not NCAA
so they
status.
are a governing body right now. So they do everything. So I think what will happen is the NCATA will still be around once that championship status happens, but the NCAA will obviously just play a bigger role. And then we will be official. We are official, but it'll just be in a different way. So yeah.
And I think it's what, like 33 schools right now.
Yes, I think I really think we're almost about to be at 37. So 2 of them are NAIA, but so to get to that championship status, I'm pretty sure 40 has to be NCAA, but we're so close, and it's crazy how much the sport continued to grow, like even with COVID and things like that. So, it's gonna happen soon. We'll be there soon for sure.
Speaking of COVID,
Mm.
how did that? Well, actually, I'll hold off on that because that's at Baylor, and we're about to get to Baylor anyway.
Okay.
So you had how many years were you at West Liberty?
I think it ended up being 2.5.
2.5.
Yes.
And how did we end up at Baylor?
So honestly, I don't want to say it was random because, I one day I just heard that the director of ops was leaving and the job was opening up. And It was originally seeing if other people were interested, and I was like, well, I might be interested. Like, I feel like this is a great opportunity that I could watch some of the best, like learn from some of the best coaches in the organization while kind of taking a step back and then learning a lot of different like admin things and just things that I could get better at, just in general. So um that happened, and it took a little bit to, get the interview process going and stuff, but I came on campus and I interviewed and I was like, you just never know what's going to happen. And then it happened. So it was not expected at all. It kind of just happened. And I definitely wasn't like out looking for any jobs, but it definitely I just felt like it was something that was the right thing to do. And if I had the opportunity to do it, I wanted to, for sure.
Man, that was a life change. So you're going from West Virginia to Texas. One, you're going from, well, ODU's not a small school, but
Mhm.
ODU first, Concordia, West Liberty, all smaller schools, to
Mhm.
Baylor.
Yes, yes.
And yeah, you're on the front lines.
Yeah.
It feels like, I mean, I don't really know how to compare it to the tech world, but you know how things change in the tech world, and people
Mhm.
were in early, and
Mhm.
they were able to grow from having the knowledge and skill and being there at the beginning.
Mhm.
They're like, I ain't trying to put that on you. I'm just saying, it seems like you came in at the perfect time.
Uh,
Um, what do you
yeah,
think about the Baylor experience so far?
it is awesome. It is a big, like we're considered like a big Power Five, but the community is just so tight knit and everybody just takes care of everybody. It is one of the best experiences of my life as an employee. So I know the kids, they love it too, but they take care of each other, we take care of each other. It's a great place to be. It's not just about the wins or the losses. We win. Baylor Acrobatics and tumbling wins, but that's never the conversation. It's about the culture. It's about how can we make these kids better for after life after Baylor, because we only have them 4 years. So we Baylor has a motto called Champions for Life, and they it is real. They do so much for the student athletes. They honestly do so much for us as employees too. So it has been such a great experience just being at Baylor, being in Waco, it has been pretty awesome. So,
So I only know two things about Waco, and
mm,
you probably guess what they are. David Koresh
yeah,
and Baylor. That's it.
yeah,
That's all I know. So those are the two things I think about. Obviously, Baylor is sports, and
hmm
RG3 and basketball, all that. And speaking of basketball, well, first of all, you mentioned that Baylor has a tradition of winning in
hmm
Acro Tumbling.
hmm
I won six in a row, six titles in a row. So, and that's skipping last year because there was no
hmm
competition last year. So you came into a great program. But how has COVID how has it been for you personally, and then how has it been dealing with it as far as the athletes?
For me, it was tough. I'm not gonna lie, it was weird because I remember when like we had a spring break that last season, and that's kind of when everything just shut down. And I was in Arizona, and we had gotten word that like one of our meets were canceled just because they didn't know what was going on and things like that, and then eventually led to seasons canceled, championships canceled. And it was tough because like you come home, I came back to Texas, and it was like, what do you do? So you kind of went through that limbo for a long time, and the kids didn't get to end their season like we wanted. Like you want to finish the season, you want that opportunity to compete for a national title, and like that got pulled from everybody. So it was tough. We had to navigate it the best way we knew how. Obviously, we were virtual for the rest of the year, rest of the summer, and then we did not see each other face to face again until the fall. So we had team meetings, but we had one team meeting and it was spread out, obviously, mass. We kind of started off that way. We started off in small groups. So we started out the season with a team of 48, so we have 4 groups of 12, and so we kind of practiced like that. They couldn't touch each other. You really just doing like boat poses, artalos, just simple workouts, and they did all of this with their mask on. We got tested, so you kind of figure out. Baylor did a great job of testing, and we got tested every week in the off. That was our off season, so it progressed over time, and we eventually got to practice as a full team, but that really didn't happen until we were about to leave for Thanksgiving. So usually we'll have a little Thanksgiving break and we come back, but this year we didn't. So after Thanksgiving, they were done until January, because obviously you don't want them to go home, get COVID, and bring it back. So you might as well just let them go home, send them there, and then they just enjoy their family. So that's kind of how it was. And then when we came back in December, it was kind of the same progression back in. It didn't take as long, but we kind of had the same deal. And then once we got into meet season, we actually got tested 3 times a week. So that's kind of how that went.
Yeah, I've heard all the testing stories from Kelsey, my daughter.
Right.
Would you use that? Virginia Tech? Well, I guess she doesn't cheer anymore because
she's an alumni now.
She basically,
Yeah,
graduating
so awesome.
next week. But yeah, that's a lot. So did you you were in Texas?
Mm-hmm.
Your family generally is in Virginia, right? Was that stressful? Was it mentally stressful?
Yeah, because usually my mom is always here. She comes when she can,
Oh, really?
she just left. She came from championship, just left. She'll probably come back again at some point. She just, that's just how she is. And it wasn't safe for me to go home. It wasn't safe for me for anybody to come see me. So it was a long period of time where I was just here. And we obviously talk to our family every day and things like that, but it was definitely tough. And I think I eventually went home maybe like 3 months later. But I got tested before I left and did all those things. But it was definitely hard, because even though I've lived in many different places, I think I still see my family a good amount. So it was definitely tough, but we got through it, and yeah, for sure.
And here we are. Another title later, as far as the Acro, another title later. And shoot, so y'all won the championship, which was like a week and a half ago, right?
Yeah, so on the 23rd.
23rd of April. Men's basketball won a national championship.
At the beginning of April.
Y'all just taking over, right? I know
Yeah.
Baylor kind of hype at that last month.
I think the coolest thing about it is they celebrate all of us, right? So I'm not saying they shouldn't celebrate us, but with men's basketball, it was so big, right? Everybody was so excited, and with us, it's exciting that we win, but 6 years later, everybody's used to us winning. So it's kind of like, oh, everybody could have easily just brushed us off, but men's basketball celebrated us and we celebrate them, and it's just so awesome. But it has been a great April for Baylor athletics. I think men's tennis just won the Big 12 tournament. It's just a lot of trophies and a lot of hardware coming back to Waco for sure.
And Dee Richards and Dejanay Carrington got drafted into the WNBA. So that's awesome as well. I love women's basketball personally, so got to throw that in there. Man.
And they made it to the Final Four. So I think Baylor and both teams were in the Final Four at the same time, and that's pretty impressive. So
absolutely. So I wasn't going to bring this up, but how's it been being so close to, well, you're not that close, but you're not far, to Dallas, because you're a Cowboys fan?
I get that question all the time. And when I wasn't living here, I think we went to a game, not every year, but we had been to about 3 or 4 games, but I haven't been. I went to the Big 12 game for football. It was at the stadium, but I obviously with COVID and then just life, I have not had a chance, but it's really exciting. And I love being close because there's a lot more Cowboy fans around me, but I think we're just everywhere, honestly. we're kind of annoying because we're like everywhere, but it has been cool because like I wear my Cowboy stuff and nobody questions it. It's like, duh, you're gonna be a Cowboys fan because you're in Texas, but everybody on this part of Texas is mostly the Cowboys and the other part is the Texans. So it's fun and it's cool to see like in bars and stuff, not bars, this restaurants, bars or whatever. They have like they're showing the Cowboys games where you don't get that a lot. In other states are kind of so it's cool and I really enjoy it because I love the Dallas Cowboys. So it's been fun and I'm sure I'll get up there soon.
Yeah, I guess you have to. You can't be that close and not go, man.
Right.
Not that anybody wants you to go there, but So let's see. What do you have any goals? And not to, obviously
Yeah.
not to tell your whole life or what what's going on with you, but do you have anything that you're thinking about doing in the future? I guess with this whole thing that you've been through, it's all been changed from the beginning. So
Yeah.
you didn't even know you were going to be here.
I honestly, at this point, I love it here. So I do want, to stay in Waco and Baylor for as long as I can. But I think that is what I'm figuring out. So I think I want to coach again, but I'm patient. So I'm willing to, learn and just get better and understand scoring and recruiting and all these things that you need to know and really get the understanding of that and then move on to coaching. But I think it would be great if I could head coach again or go into administration. I've gotten to work with some administrators at Baylor just because with the championships and all those things. It's like
Right.
so many different routes I could take, honestly, and I am open to anything, but I do think I like college athletics. So I think this is a good place for me. Whatever I can do in college athletics, I would want to stay in A&T because imagine in 10 years, I can only imagine where the sport will be. So I do want to stay involved with A&T, but I don't know in what position. I think I'm open to anything, honestly. So it's a hard question for me because I don't know, but it doesn't mean like I don't have any goals. I'm just at the point where like I'm comfortable where I'm at, not like too comfortable, but I'm okay with where I'm at and I'm like willing to learn and I've grown so much over these last 2 years. So I'm excited to see what the future looks like for sure.
That's an awesome place to be, though, man. I mean,
Mhm.
comfortable where you are, and I mean, things are going to open up. I mean, I can just see it. I think I see it the way you see it. Things are going to open up, and the A&T world is going to be your oyster. Is that the
Mhm.
same? Something like that. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. What about the recruiting? I meant to ask you about recruiting because, I mean, I love sports and I pay attention to high school, college, whatever the case may be. And you see football players, you see basketball players. You don't see acro tumblers. So how does one even recruit other than a random message from someone looking for Maria? How does one recruit an acro
So
tumbler?
yeah, so A&T is so awesome because you have to recruit from cheerleading. So obviously cheerleaders, gymnasts, and then you have different types of gymnasts. So you have acrobatic gymnasts. So they're the ones that do like the lifting and the weird flips on each other's hands, like more intense than we do. That's the acrobatic gymnast. And then you have trampoline and tumbling athletes. So they do a lot of the stuff that's still a part of gymnastics, but they do everything on the trampoline. A diver could come be an A&T athlete because they have good air awareness. So they would be good at tosses. So that has been a thing too. You kind of with I'm gonna go back to when I was recruiting at West Lib, you kind of just find kids that are interested and have a love for learning something new. Because even if you come from cheer, if you come from whatever sport, you have to come in with a completely open mind because you've never done this before. So, it is different because like you said, you're not pulling from football. You already have football players, but with us, it's pulling from different sports like cheerleading, gymnastics, and the cool thing about us is there are youth A&T programs that are growing. So we have a couple that are actually, we have one in Waco, and then there are a couple already in Texas. And I know Baylor just recruited a kid, and she came strictly from youth acrobatics and tumbling. So she was an A&T athlete as a younger student, as a younger kid. So that's kind of cool. And that'll keep happening as more like gymnastics programs and even other cheerleading programs will make this youth A&T team, and they learn the things that we're doing. So they have a league, they get to compete against each other at meets. They have officials, they have their own rule book. So it'll definitely change over the years. I'm pretty positive, but right now you kind of just pull from so many different disciplines. I mean, I've had track athletes. I mean, so many different things. It's honestly pretty cool for sure.
And there are, there are scholarships available at
Yes.
some places, right?
Yeah, so it depends on the school. So obviously Division III is different. So Division III, they don't offer scholarships. So you get more like the academic aid, things like that. Division II and Division I, with our sport, we're equivalency. So basically we don't offer full rides, but you get a certain amount of full rides and then you split it within the team. So like basketball, if you get a scholarship on a basketball team, at least at Division I, you have to get a full ride. Where with us, you can get, or any team as far as Division I or Division II, you can get a percentage, and then it kind of works like that. So we do not do the full ride deal. So if anybody ever says that from any school, they are not telling the truth. So
Oh yeah.
yes, if they say I have a full athletic scholarship, no, because we do not do that. So yes.
Okay, that's good information. That's good information because yeah. Well, when people don't know, they don't know. So you can tell them
Right,
anything.
exactly. And like you can make it a full ride if you stack it with academics and
Right.
things like that. But we do not do the full athletic scholarship. And that's not just for Baylor. Any school, it's more a percentage. They give you a certain amount of full rides and then they divvy it up that way.
Wow. That's good info right there. That's good info
Mhm.
right there. Oh man. So let's see what else. What else can we touch on? We've done the sports. We've done your whole life. Matter of fact.
Yeah, I think yeah. Now that I think about it, I think we got through everything. We touched on everything for sure.
And you want to shout out your parents one more time because I know as a parent, I know that they appreciate the person that you are. And earlier you said you had great parents, so I know you appreciate them rocking with you like they do.
Yeah, so my parents, like I said, they're awesome. They are the reason I get to really experience everything I've experienced. So they support me when I called and said, hey, I'm moving to West Virginia. Okay, cool. What do you need us to do? Same thing when I called and I was like, hey, I want to go to Texas. I want to move to Texas. Great. And my mom plays the more like, okay, I'm down. Whatever you want to do, let's do it. My dad, I usually call and I'm like, hey, you gotta give me the real. Like, what do you think? The good and the bad of what'll happen from this experience. And he has been right about everything so far. He's like, you might not like this, or this might be a smaller state, a smaller city, but the experience and everything will be great. So my parents are awesome. Thank you for everything. I'm sure they'll watch this, but I really do appreciate everything for sure.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You gotta remember, I mean, I'm sure you know this, not everybody's, even people who have two parents, one parent, whomever, not everybody's parents respond that way to stuff. So
Mhm.
some people, they get I don't think that's a good idea, and they kind of feel held back from things that they could have accomplished in life or could have tried at least. But you
Mhm.
got somebody that's got your back, so that's beautiful.
Mhm. And my big brother is the same way. I do have a big brother, and he's always like, "What are you doing now?" And I'm like, "I think I want to move to Texas." And he's like, "Great, let me know what you need." So my whole family, my aunt Penny, she would be horrified if I didn't mention her too. She plays a big role. So she was here for the championship. She shows up if mom can't, or they both show up together. Um, so I have a great village, honestly. I could name so many different people you know, even Nicole, she supports me. Everybody supports me. So it is just awesome.
Even Nicole, that's my wife, y'all. So.
Yeah. No, seriously though, I just have great people around me, and I think that has made a huge difference in my life for sure.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Well, Treasure, I greatly appreciate you taking the time to join me. You know, we've been trying to do this for a while.
Yes.
I know you're a busy lady. You're a busy lady. So, you know, gave you your space so you could get through your season and all that good stuff. But I definitely appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you. No, this was great. I'm excited that I was able to talk, and it's been a while since I've been able to talk through everything. So this was awesome. So thank you.
No doubt. Once again, Treasure Fields, Source out here.